Well, hello, traders and investors. I'm LA Little. This is your daily NeoTA wrap. We take a look at these markets, doing it from a neoclassical perspective. Supply and demand on the charts, folks. That's what it's about, and that's what I do. I've written 2 books about it. The model, the neoclassical model. You can find it on my Amazon. Just search for my name, L.A.Little. As far as these markets and what happened today, they did take off again. Before we get to that, I do this show 4 times a week, Monday through Thursday. It's broadcast at or before 10 o'clock Eastern Time. It's archived on YouTube, and it's under the channel LA Little. And if you want to subscribe to the show, reach up in the right-hand corner and do so. Anytime you push content, or I push content, you'll get a notification. If you like what we do, then maybe you want to look at how we do it. And the education part of what we do is a big part of TA Today. You can read about that in these links. You can see all about it. And if you're inclined, then you can write me. Just go to About Us, pop down, and you can come to me. As far as the books, they're here as well. You can get a link to them, and you can flip through them and see what they're all about. So these are the models itself. The model was here, and the takeoff of the model with more information was there. Let's go to the markets. Let's look at the numbers. Let me grab the numbers first. There we go. So the NDX up about 0.5%, S&P up 3/4. So you had some rotation taking place today. For once, the large caps did not lead, and the small caps did. Speaking of the small caps, almost 2%, 1.89. The broad NASDAQ 0.75%. So those large big cap stocks that's been taking this market higher and unwilling to let this market fall, they did continue higher as a whole, the NDX 100, but the big large caps were not the drivers. China down a bit. You were flat in Switzerland. You were up in Europe, and Asia for the most part the same. Silver and gold struggled. Oil down slightly again, bonds flat, and the dollar still hanging around that 25.11 number on the UUP. Okay, so here's the S&P. This is what it looks like. So we were talking about this last night, you had this big day down, right? Volume into this. Did bounce out, did a hammer, and today it extends to the top side, gets over the last high, extends, volume okay. Nothing to not like about that. I mean, I sound like a broken record, but this market continues to prove over and over that it's just not done. And until it's done, it just doesn't matter what you think. You just have to either stay with it or stay out of the way. This is the S&P on the daily. If you look at it on the weekly, you know, you've got that extension starting to take place now, and that was necessary. Anytime you break a swing point high, which it did, if you start to come back, which in this case we did, the top here was 2498. We got down to 2403.59. So we got close but did not test. If you test, then you're probably going to trade down into that latter third of it, right? Which is, in this particular case, would have been down around 2365, maybe 67. Didn't get in there, held above it, going to try and extend. Now, if you do the ABCDs here, you've got a bunch of them that are firing. You got a little small one that's in play right now. This one goes up a little bit farther, and that's actually going to push up into a larger ABCD structure that's been out here for a while. It's kind of fallen off the chart here in terms of where it's at, but that structure took it up to about 2440 plus. I forget the exact number. And so we're heading up towards that. We hit one today, 2421, or 2424, I believe it was. Got up to 2430. You're very close to the next one, and I would be very surprised if we don't see it try to push up there tomorrow. You got employment numbers out of ADP today that got the market rolling. You had some bad PMI numbers, didn't matter, and then Trump came on with his I'm going to exit the climate talks, or actually the climate agreement, and that sent the market kind of roaring higher at the end of the day. You probably will see Asia follow through on that, and again with Europe, most likely they'll see some buying there, which will probably bring our market higher on the open, another one of those gap ups. If we look at the NASDAQ, now the broad NASDAQ was stronger, this one just legs higher, and if we look at the NDX, The NDX struggled a bit more. You can see it just barely got over it, but it did stay above it. New highs, closes at new highs. 58.13 was the prior day, closes at 16, so it gets over it. The real juice was in the Russell. This is where nobody wants to go or has wanted to go. This thing had been caught in a range for a long time. Today breaks out of that range. So you have the area here that it was in, and this gap down was about there, and so it actually got above it. So there's really nothing now to stop it if it wants to leg higher, and I suspect it probably will try. You got a little ABCD structure. It's just about done. You got the swing point high here, and the only other thing is the congruent area there. So I would think that that 1400 round number is probably going to be the stumbling block if there is one. If it does get over this thing can leg right back up to the highs again. And that's the Russell. If we were to look deeper into the market in terms of the actual sectors, the only thing you saw today was some rotation in these sectors. For example, if I bring up the SOX, which has been knocking the SOX off of everything, today it couldn't move, but it was simply an inside day. XLK was struggling. That one couldn't get higher inside day. So you can see that rotation moved away from these and moved into others. XLY pulls away, new highs. Consumer durables, nice big spike up on it. The technology we just looked at, the XLI, made a high yesterday, continues to extend on it. Financials, which were trying to break down, reverse back up. Energy, which couldn't find a bid yesterday, finds one today, at least a small one. And the basic materials rolls right up to the top. Surprisingly strong, but they had that nice hammer reversal yesterday. Remember, we were looking at this yesterday, and I said, hey, you're testing into this, less volume. You can expect this thing to try to follow through today, and it blows away 2 of the 3 swing point highs that are out there, and I suspect it's going to take that one out tomorrow. Folks, everywhere I look, it looks the same. Market's strong. Market doesn't want to come in until you get a reversal signal, right? Something that you can hang your cleats on, something that's real, not just, mixed stuff, but across all these indexes. This thing's going to keep trying to go higher. Until that stops, it is what it is, and you need to play with the trend, not against it, or sit on the sidelines and watch. That's it for tonight. Have yourself a great one. I'll see you next time. Good night.